Okay, salam and good morning, everyone. This is Alim from IBFNet, welcoming you all to our second webinar in the Awqaf Management Studies webinar series by Dr. Hisham Dafterdar. Now, similar to our previous webinars, if this is your first time joining the webinar, this is actually the second out of 10 webinars in Awqaf Management Studies. The previous webinar is currently uploaded on our YouTube channel, so check it out if you've missed it. As always, we are live streaming this to our YouTube channel right now, so as soon as the stream is over, the video will be available for replay. Our aim is to push out a webinar every week, so please do subscribe to our channel to be notified when a webinar goes live. We're going to jump right into the webinar after a few words by Muhammad Imad, the CEO of IBFNet Indonesia, regarding our latest course launch, the Certified Halal Business Analyst course.
Hello everyone, I'm Muhammad Imad, CEO of IBFNet Indonesia. Today, I'm thrilled to extend a warm invitation to all aspiring individuals who wish to delve into the fascinating world of halal with our new course, Certified Halal Business Analyst. Our course is a comprehensive exploration of the global halal economy, its diverse sectors, and its significance in today's world. In the course, you'll start by understanding the scope and growth of the global halal market. You'll gain insights into its dynamic nature and how it aligns with the SDGs. From there, we'll explore the fundamentals of the halal ecosystem. We'll deep dive into various sectors, including food and beverages, fashion and tourism, media, pharmaceuticals, and cosmetics, all through the lens of Sharia perspectives and the latest research trends. Unpacking the intricacies of halal certification, marketing, and ensuring consumer rights is also a crucial part of this course. You'll understand how to maintain the integrity of halal products and services. We'll also equip you with the knowledge needed to understand and navigate halal policy and regulations across global markets. In today's digital age, we can't ignore the role of technology. We'll explore how technology like blockchain impacts the halal food supply chain and the factors influencing tech adoption in the halal ecosystem. By the end of this course, you'll not only have a solid foundation in halal, but also be equipped with cutting-edge insights into this multifaceted world. This knowledge is invaluable, whether you're looking to certify a product, understand consumer mindsets, or navigate halal policy and regulation. So if you're eager to become a certified halal business analyst and unlock vast opportunities in the halal industry, I invite you to join us. Head over to netversity.io to join us on this enlightening journey into the world of halal.
Definitely. Do check out netversity.io for more information and get enrolled. Now, back to the webinar. If you would like to know more about Dr. Hisham, you can read more about him in our webinar page or in the video description below. As always, questions will be addressed towards the end of the webinar. So without taking up much of your time, I now hand over the session to Dr. Hisham.
Okay, let's go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. Last time we went through the principles of Waqf and we discussed various issues about what are the components of the Waqf and what makes a valid Waqf, and we went through until we came to the concept of the cash Waqf, which is more or less a new addition to the Waqf. So from today we will continue with some of the issues about or some of the principles of Waqf and some of the rules about Waqf. So one of the main things about managing Awqaf is to have the facility of substitution, or the Arabic word istibdal is used in this principle. So actually the word waqf itself means, or it brings meanings like stop, hold. It imposes conditions also. When you say a waqf, there are conditions that go with it, and we discussed those previously. About conditions like inalienability and perpetuity. Now, when you talk about inalienability and perpetuity, what does it mean? It means that you cannot sell, and once an asset is made a waqf, it remains a waqf forever. Now, these conditions cannot be applied very rigidly or too rigidly. The waqf is a dynamic sector that reacts and interacts with the ever-changing environment and also with the market forces. So because the Waqf is part of the country's social and economic framework, and therefore it's unavoidable. It will have to be impacted by what goes around. So in order to be able to continue its traditional role as a social service provider, the Waqf has to be proactive, it has to be adaptive, it has to be responsive, and also it has to be innovative. Many Awqaf properties in many prime locations in major cities and towns have become, depleted by time and unable to earn or contribute because of neglect or because mainly of lack of development financing. Many properties, buildings and so on have deteriorated because of poor maintenance, and they suffered losses or diminishing returns because of that, because of lack of financing. Many agricultural awqaf were abandoned because of soil degradation, erosion, or climatic conditions, or again, because lack of really proper maintenance. Now we come to other types of awqaf, like liquid awqaf, liquid assets such as investments, cash, and so on. These are always exposed to the volatilities of the market, and their value may depreciate with time. For all these reasons and more, Sharia has allowed substitution or the istibdal, which we are talking about. We can substitute our property by another to enable the waqf to continue to serve its purposes and to serve its beneficiaries. Now, legally speaking, when istibdal or substitution has become necessary, when we do istibdal, it is done on behalf of the beneficiaries rather than on behalf of the waqf, the one who donated, because the waqf has donated and he's out of the donation, out of the asset. He is no longer the owner, and therefore the owners, really the owners of the benefit, are the beneficiaries. And therefore, when you are doing istibdal, legally you are doing it on behalf of those beneficiaries, not on behalf of the waqf who donated. So the right approach when selling an asset is to seek a fair price. When you want to make istibdal, it means you have to sell or try to get another asset, and the asset that will replace the other should be of equivalent or better value if that is possible. Now, there are a wide range of asset valuation techniques that are used to determine what is a fair value or what is a fair price. Now, I'll not go through those because there are a lot of methodologies. Accountants know that how to do this, and also real estate people, they know how to evaluate a property. But very briefly, you can evaluate property based on, let's say, sometimes the location, the area, a recent sale of a similar one. You can discount future cash flows. There are so many methods of doing it. Now, the practical problem associated with valuation of Waqf assets, as we see, they are largely the same as those that exist in any valuation. But for Awqaf, there are special characteristics inherent in the valuation, such as, the heritage value. Some Awqaf are considered as heritage assets. There are also, the conditions of the Waqif. The one who sometimes, the Waqif, he imposes conditions that no istibdal, or if there is istibdal, it has to be done like this or so. And therefore, these, whatever there are conditions in the Waqf deed, again, these conditions will impose some conditions or restrictions. There are also the rights of the beneficiaries to be considered, and above all, the availability of a suitable replacement when you are doing istibdal. The determination of the Waqf value really is therefore a matter of judgment, irrespective of the method used or the process applied. The price will have to be defended anyway to all stakeholders. You tell them, okay, we have, sometimes, you are offered a price and that's it, and take it or leave it, and that happens many times if the government has to take over a certain Waqf land for some, civic, reasons. You have no choice. You have to, they'll force the substitution on you, and sometimes also they force the price or the compensation that you will get. Ultimately, some negotiations go between the Waqf and the buyer, and this will determine the final price of the asset. Now, istibdal would be easier to execute if it is not expressed, if it is not, as I said, the conditions of the Waqf. Now, if the Waqf says no istibdal whatsoever, then it will be very difficult really to infringe that rule. So it will be a lot easier if that is not expressly prohibited by the Waqf. Istibdal is also permitted, as I said before, if it is in the public interest. The Waqf is serving the beneficiaries very well and so on, but if there is an overriding public interest, such as the need to build or widen a road, which necessitate the acquisition of all or part of the Waqf land. These are reasons, that are to be considered. The right of government to acquire private land for a public purpose is known as the eminent domain. This is in the legal terms, which means, okay, you have a Waqf or any owner, you may own a property, you are the owner, but the government has the sovereign rights over it. And the sovereign rights, they override the ownership. Essentially, this is considered as a forced sale of the land. When this happens, the price paid by the government may not be the just compensation of the Waqf. This has happened really in a good example is that, in the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, there were many properties Waqf around the Haram areas. And when it was necessary to expand the Haram, these Awqaf had to be taken, and the Awqaf were compensated by the government so that they can, relocate to another location. Now, this is what we call a forced sale. Now, when this happened, it may not be the just compensation for the Waqf. Now, sometimes there are other interests attached to the land, such as the convenience of the location. I mean, okay, they gave you a substitute land or land to take, but that place now, or the substitute property is not as convenient. There could be goodwill attached to a place. You've been in that location for many, many years, and now you are forced to relocate, so you lose all that with it. And to evaluate that goodwill and the price, it's not as easy. Now, if the Waqf asks for more than the land is worth, it may have to take the matter to the court. At the close of the lawsuit, the government takes title to the land, and the Waqf is paid the amount that is determined by the court. It happens sometimes, there are court cases, that are, raised on such issues. Now, I'll continue with this substitution. The importance of istibdal lies in the fact that it exhibits some dynamism of the Waqf sector, because if there is no istibdal and that you cannot do anything, then the whole thing will come to a standstill. So istibdal will help keeping abreast with the changes and responding to the market conditions, and this will keep the Awqaf sector alive and effective. Now, if istibdal is approved, it may be executed as follows, as you can see there. You can sell part of the Waqf to develop another part of the same Waqf. So if you have, some part of the property is to be, subject to istibdal, then the money can be used in order to develop the other part. Or you can sell a Waqf property and use the proceeds to serve the same purpose and beneficiaries. or you can sell a Waqf property if the value of the land has increased. This is again, this is where the Waqf council or the Waqf Mutawalli it takes the initiative to do the istibdal, that you sell if the value has increased because of its location, it may be in the inner city suburbs, and then the Waqf can sell and move elsewhere with the increase in value. He can purchase a bigger lot at the outskirts of the city, and the operations of the Waqf can be expanded accordingly. Now, another way or another condition is that you can sell a number of Waqf properties of similar benefits or similar purposes, and buy one bigger and potentially a more profitable to the Waqf. And this really happened when I was working at the Islamic Development Bank, and we were financing some properties. There were a lot of very small pieces of land on one street in one city, and you cannot do much with a 50-meter lot or something. You can build maybe a kiosk or something, but that doesn't serve the purpose. So when it was finally agreed that we can sell all these little ones and we can finance a bigger shopping mall, and that will be a better benefit to everybody and to the city as well. So it is possible to sell, to combine small Waqfs if they have the same purpose. Or you can retain part of the profit as a reserve, for repairs, maintenance, expansion, or for reinvestment. Now, istibdal happens in cash, where the cash is used to purchase a property or to invest it in securities. In this case, cash is being substituted for a fixed asset or for a marketable instrument. Now, if the fixed asset or the security is sold, then the Waqf will revert to its original form. Istibdal can also be automatic and recurring. An example of this, assume there is a sheep farm with a flock of 1,000 heads of sheep, of which 25% are rams and 75% are females, or what we call ewes. The average natural increase of sheep is 1.25%, which means a flock of 1,000 will grow into 1,250. Okay, every year. Okay, so the sheep farm can sell an average of, let's say, 900 sheep each year and still maintain its base stock of 1,000. Okay, so this is like an automatic substitution. In this case, we can say that there is a recurring istibdal of old stock with new stock each year. This example applies to all self-generating biological assets such as fish and shrimp and poultry farms as well. Another instance of istibdal takes place in case of a partnership between a waqf and a private developer. For example, an agreement, you see this happens in BOT projects. For example, an agreement between a waqf and a private developer to build a commercial tower on a waqf land, where the waqf contributes to the land and the developer finances the project. Okay, so now there is a partnership that is formed between the waqf and the developer. Most real estate laws consider any building or structure which is embedded in a foundation in the, such as what they call land improvement. It becomes part of the land. For instance, if you have a piece of land and you build a property on it, a house or any structure, if it is built on the land with foundations that are in the land, then it becomes one unit. Many real estate laws consider that. But if you put something that sits on the land by its own weight, such as you put a caravan and you use it, as a house, but it is not built in with foundations in the land, then it's not part of the land because you can move it. But once it is built in, then it becomes one. And therefore, and this is the example I was saying, if a developer develops on a waqf land, goes into a partnership with him, then he becomes partner with the waqf on that same, because what he builds and the land become one unit according to many real estate laws in many countries. Because it is considered that when something is on the land, it becomes part of the land, and in this case, the developer become a partner in the land, in both the land and the building. This is really tantamount to the developer becoming a part owner of the waqf property. Now, some scholars consider this situation to be an infringement of Sharia, while others allow it under the rules of istibdal, where the waqf substitutes the land for an undefined part of the building, proportionate to the value of the land to the cost of the construction of the building. I hope this is clear. Now, all these examples, they highlight the dynamism embodied in istibdal. However, this facility should not be used to undermine the condition of inalienability and perpetuity. This matter remains really a moot point among Muslim jurists. The four major schools of the Sunni jurisprudence have different views on istibdal. I'm not a Sharia scholar, but from my research, I found that the Malikis prohibit istibdal of waqf land, but allow it for movable assets. The Shafi'is are even stricter than the Malikis insofar as they prohibit the sale of land on which a mosque was constructed. The Hanafis view that istibdal is permissible if the waqf founder did not stipulate against it unless the property deteriorates to a condition where it does not generate enough for its upkeep or becomes unusable, in which case the approval of a Sharia court is required. The Hanbalis, on the other hand, are more flexible and tend to facilitate istibdal if no benefit can be served by the Waqf anymore. I'll talk now about what we call the legal entity of the Waqf. From a Sharia perspective, the Waqf has an independent and a separate personality from its founder, and also separate from its beneficiaries, and it has a separate personality also from the mutawalli. Fiqh scholars, although there are some minor differences among them, they all agree that the Waqf, once created, it will have an indefinite life. Now, there are now, new rulings that permit temporary awqaf and so on. But anyway, there are, once the Waqf is created, it has what is called a dhimma of its own. In Arabic, dhimma is an Arabic word that defines the scope of rights and responsibility of a natural or of a juristic person. This is what we call dhimma in Arabic. So the dhimma of a person includes his moral and legal obligations, and these do not have to end at all. They don't even end with death. A person, if he owes money, for example, and he dies, the debt is transferred to his estate. So the dhimma does not end. Once there is a dhimma, it has to be there all the time, and even death does not really relieve it, because the debt has to be settled before the heirs get anything. The separate and independent dhimma or personality of the Waqf means that the Waqf has rights and it also has obligations. And the Waqf can sue, or he can be sued and taken to court as well, because it's treated as a separate entity. So money can be borrowed in the name of the Waqf, and some scholars say zakat is due on its yield unless it is for a charitable cause. The concept of indefinite legal entity or legal personality for a Waqf is akin to the concept of indefinite legal entity of a corporation or a company, which was, this concept of legal entity of a company was developed in Europe in the early 19th century. The Waqf's legal entity is established in accordance with the laws of the country and may take different forms according to the jurisdictions and the regulations of that country. So in non-Muslim countries, I'll explain, in non-Muslim countries, a Waqf can be formed under the law of trust and may be structured as a cooperative society, It can be structured as a company or a corporation. The Awqaf in Australia, of which I am chair, really is structured as a company. It's a limited company. Under the law of trust and under these rules of Awqaf, property is preserved and its usufruct, or the benefit that is derived from it, is appropriated to the nominated beneficiaries or to some other charitable purpose. These institutions can be created for an indefinite period of time and can favor successive beneficiaries. For instance, the beneficiary, because the Waqf, has an indefinite life, the beneficiaries have a finite life, and therefore the beneficiaries can be, can change as the time goes on, so long as they fit into the category stipulated by the Waqf for the beneficiaries. Now, we often hear the Waqf is synonymous with trust. Many people say, oh, Waqf is the trust, and the Nazir is synonymous with the trustee. Now, there are similarities, no doubt, but there are substantial differences between a Waqf and a trust, and between a Nazir and a trustee. The structure and purposes are different. The trust is not a separate legal entity like a company or an individual. It is essentially, a trust is a relationship involving the settler, the one who, and the trustee, and the beneficiaries. And this relationship is recognized by the law. Trusts are often established as financial planning tools for tax considerations or other financial reasons, or for non-financial reasons, which do not have to be charitable. Trusts can dispose of their assets and can be imminently wound up according to law regarding dissolution of trust by the settler, or the trustee, or the beneficiaries may just decide that they do not want that trust to continue. Trusts are sometimes established as discretionary trusts, where the beneficiaries and their entitlement are determined by the trustee according to the criteria set out by the settler in the trust instrument. However, these criteria are not legally binding, and the only way a beneficiary will get income from the trust is if the trustee chooses to give him or give her something. Okay? Because the trustee is really the decision maker. He is practically, he behaves as if he is the owner and the ultimate decision maker on who is to benefit and who is not to benefit. Now, in contrast to this, the Waqf is perceived by all Sharia scholars and everybody as a sacred trust. It is a sacred trust, and there is no separation between its legality and its morality. The Waqf is protected by Sharia rulings, which ensure its independent entity and determines the duties and responsibilities of the Nazir and the rights and entitlement of the beneficiaries. This is all in the Waqf, which is not in the trust, because we always have comparisons, say a Waqf is a trust and so on. Okay, there are similarities, but the differences outweigh the similarities. The Waqf as a legal entity is a protection of assets and rights. The Waqf as an entity enjoys financial independence. It can invest, it can enter into business agreements in its own name. It can raise funds, it can issue its own sukuk, it can manage its own risks. The Nazirs, or the Mutawallis, they are like directors of a company. They are the agents who oversee and manage and sign documents on behalf of the Waqf, and they are also liable for their actions. So a Nazir, is not above the law. He can be fined, he can be removed, and he can be indicted for offenses committed by the Waqf when their consent or connivance or due to their negligence. Okay. This is about the legal entity, which gives the Waqf all the rights and responsibilities. Now, I'll talk about custody and management of Awqaf or Nazara or the Mutawalli services. First, about the selection and appointment of the Waqf manager or trustee or the Mutawalli or the Nazir. Now, one of the important issues concerning Waqf is the appointment of an administrator, the Mutawalli, to manage the Waqf. The Waqif, the founder of the Waqf, that is, through a deed, determines the objectives of the Waqf and its management and concession processes. Now, Sharia provides a principle-based criteria to the appointment of the Nazir and to his duties and responsibilities. The guiding principles for the Nazir are based on 3 defined parameters. What are they? To protect, to respect, and to manage. These principles are not independent from each other and must be maintained and reflected in the Nazir's exercise of his duties and responsibilities. The legal status of the Waqf manager or the Mutawalli of the Waqf. The Mutawalli or the Nazir of the Waqf is in fact is a double agent. And what I mean by this, he is an agent of the Waqf because he holds the title of the property. He exercises legal control and is bound by fiduciary responsibility and moral obligation to protect and administer the Waqf for the benefit of the beneficiaries in accordance with the terms of the Waqf deed, which are stipulated by the conditions that are stipulated by the Waqf. So he is an agent of the Waqf to execute the Waqf according to these conditions. But he is also an agent of the beneficiaries who are the beneficial owners of the Waqf. Matter of fact, some fiqh scholars went so far as to say that the Waqf belongs to the beneficiaries in the sense that the Waqf was created for their benefit. So if something is made for you to use, it's yours. irrespective of who founded it or who owns it, if it is made for you. So this is one view of some Sharia scholars. Awqaf holders are many, and they have different interests. There are beneficiaries, there are the beneficiaries of the Waqf. There are customers of the Waqf. There are employees of the Waqf. There are volunteers. There is the local community. There is the government. And there are many other groups with different interests and multiple touch points with the Waqf. The Nazir has to determine the importance of looking good in front of all these stakeholders. The challenges for the Nazir is to balance values and compliance so that all stakeholders and their issues are addressed. Now, this is a complex role in which it can be very demanding, and it is also a very complex environment for the work. So the Nazir really, if you look at it, he is more obligated, and he is more responsible. He has listed you more than a company director. Okay, because a company director, he has responsibility towards shareholders. He has other responsibilities, and he wants to maximize profits and so on. But another, he has the rules of, the beneficiary, present and future beneficiaries. He has to weigh the different demands of the all stakeholders. So he should be able to navigate through many layers of social needs. He has to interact with people with disabilities and other underserviced groups, and to weigh and manage multiple and sometimes competing priorities. These are areas for the Mutawalli's work that can make him stressed and exhausted. None of these stakeholders that I mentioned, the government, the beneficiaries, the Waqifs, they give the Nazir a free pass. No, a small, rare issue with a disgruntled beneficiary can swell into a full-blown event, putting the entire Awqaf sector on the line. If one says, okay, this Nazir has done this and that, and he is not honest at this will discredit not only that particular Waqf, it can also has its implications for all Awqaf in the country. And people sometimes wait for something like this to happen. Duties and responsibilities of the Mutawalli. Okay. Now, Awqaf, as I discussed earlier, in many places, it can be a high maintenance sector. And the task of the Mutawalli and his duties are very, very delicate. The authority of the Mutawalli to act and make decisions on behalf of the Waqf carries immense responsibility, and his duties are wider and more onerous than they were assumed to be. So it's not easy to be a Nazir. The role of the Nazir has evolved beyond the traditional duties of oversight. Now, everything looks blurry when it comes to understanding the Waqf. The beneficiaries and other stakeholders, understanding the business environment and the new technology. There are so many issues. The Nadir or the Mutawalli acts as the principal point of contact between all stakeholders, and so he should be proactive and responsive. The Waqf Nazir, in fact, should be a multifaceted. He has to wear different hats, and one of those is to be an investment specialist. Mutawallis are expected to have a certain level of business skills and investment knowledge to support their role in monitoring the safety and performance of assets under their control. These skills enable Nazirs to shoulder their responsibilities for the management of Waqf and care for beneficiaries. The Nazir also has to have good communication skills, and he has to have good relationship skills, and he should be able to forge bonds between stakeholders from different occupational backgrounds. Stakeholders come from, they are not all the same. Each one has a different background, different experiences, different needs, different demands. Now, if the Nazir, for instance, is talking to a Waqif, he should be able to give the status of the Waqf and report on his activities in administering the Waqf. That's what the Nazir wants to know. So he must be able to respond to that. How are you managing? Now, if he is talking to beneficiaries, he has to ascertain their continued eligibility, first of all, because a beneficiary may no longer remain as a beneficiary. His conditions may change. If the Waqf is, let's say, for poor people and the beneficiary was poor, he is no longer entitled to become a beneficiary. Now, the Nazir or the Waqif, the Mutawalli, I mean, he should be able to weigh all this and to determine the eligibility and the continuity of beneficiaries, because beneficiaries sometimes they say, okay, free money coming, I'm not going to report my conditions. And no, very few of them, if ever, they do that. And if he's talking to clients, for instance, if clients of a Waqf, for instance, you have a building, there are beneficiaries who are benefiting from the rent that proceeds, but there are also tenants who are paying. These are the clients of the Waqf. Okay? Now he has to follow up on their problems and make sure that their concerns are resolved. Okay, tenant may say, okay, I have problem with the parking area, I have this, I have that, this is not working, this is this. He has to address all that. These are his clients. Now, these interactions create bonds and make the stakeholders feel like they are all part of the same community and they share the same concern. Because if the client is unsatisfied, then also the Nazir has a problem, and also the beneficiary will have a problem down the road. So they are all in the same boat, really. All Nazirs, all stakeholders are in the same boat. While a Waqf, now this is important here. Now, while the Waqf can be managed by an individual, a corporate structure has many advantages. Now, many of the Awqaf are managed by councils or by some sort of a corporate structure. Now, the perpetuity of the Waqf creates issues of succession planning and highlights the need for the corporate nazir. Because as we said, if the waqf is forever, therefore there should be succession plans. You know, which nazir is going to come after another one, and so on. The waqf may dictate or may name one, but what happens after that? Okay, so a corporate structure, will ensure the continuity of the management of the waqf, because a corporation, as we said before, it has an indefinite life and legal responsibility, also independent of its members. So the corporate nazir, corporate mutawalli structure, can bring in new blood, new ideas, which are beneficial to the waqf. The succession of the mutawalli becomes a process and not an event. If we have a natural nazir and on his desk, this is an event and it will create issues. But in the case of a corporation, okay, the changing of the nazir becomes a process and it will ensure the continuity and the harmony of the waqf to subsequent generations. A corporate entity has a board of directors, and it also allows the segregation of duties and allocation of responsibilities according to areas of specialization. Now, of course, when we're talking about this type of structure, we are not talking about a small waqf. We are talking about, medium to large waqf. It can adopt, the corporate structure can adopt a governance structure and ensures transparency and disclosure. It can ensure control and accountability. And it also sets a code of ethics and boundaries of behavior. The corporation has a code of ethics. Of course, the Sharia rules on ethics are dominant. A board of directors overseeing a waqf would be able to hold the balance between the social goals and the economic goals, and between beneficiaries and the community interests. The corporate structure underlines the need for licensing regulations, where mutawallis or the administrators need to be certified and licensed, because it becomes a company. It's like a company, and therefore those who are in it, they must be qualified and they must be certified. The certification of mutawalli sets a process of prescribed academic qualification, work experience, and character references to ensure that these people, they possess the highest level of professionalism, and any conflict between a mutawalli's obligation and his self-interest should lead to penalties or to revoking the license of that mutawalli. Of course, he can also be, as we said before, he can be, sued and taken to court for any infringements. Then we come to in Awqaf, to the role of the Qadi. The Qadi is the Muslim judge. A Qadi is a judge in a Sharia court. The real challenge for the mutawalli is not what is in the waqf document, The challenge is not what's in the document, because what's in the document is clear, but what is not in it. If the Waqf is silent on a particular matter, then the issue should be referred to an appropriate higher authority for an opinion or decision. This authority is invariably vested in the Qadi, or the Sharia court judge. The Qadi, or Qazi, if you may say that in Indonesia, the Qazi, usually has an extrajudicial functions. He's more than a judge. Now, besides having to adjudicate over criminal or civil matters, the Qazi approves the Waqf deed and he puts his seal on it. He has a role in overseeing the administration of Awqaf and religious endowments like orphans, monies, minor properties, and matters involving inheritance, and so many other issues. The Qazi has the authority to remove and prosecute corrupt nazis whose neglect or unscrupulous behavior has led to the loss or to the deterioration of Waqf properties. I think I'll stop here. I'll continue next time on another phase of the Waqf. I'll talk next time about the historical perspective and about the Waqf that is controlled by the state, or by the government, and about taxation, about the legal environment, about so many other issues. And that will take us then to the end of this series, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair for that insightful session, Dr. Hisham. Regarding the questions, there were a few questions that were asked, which I have answered, but there's one in particular that requires some discussion. So what I've asked the participant to do is send us an email with that question, and as soon as we receive it, we will forward it to you, and then we can have a discussion on that. But for everyone else, please do confirm your attendance by clicking the link that's going to be flashing on the screen right now, or by scanning the QR code. And once you confirm your attendance, you will then be eligible to receive a certificate for attending this session. Just a note, if you attend all 10 sessions, you will get a certificate from Netversity, which is our e-learning platform. All right, looking forward to your next session with us, Dr. Hisham. And as always, thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the participants, for joining us. And we'll see you in our next webinar session. Thank you.